Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to go over some very basic styling in React Native, introduce you to how it could work. And so there's two ways that you can implement styles in your React Native project. The first one we'll take a quick look at is what's called inline. And this is, you can actually do the same thing in HTML using CSS as well. And this, just so you know, this is not technically CSS, but a lot of the same terminology and tags work just like they would in CSS, but it's meant to kind of look and feel like it, but it's actually React Native. And so I'm going to copy this. This is what's called an inline style tag, in that it is inside the tag itself. You see it's right before the closing greater than sign. And so if I go in, all right, so I'm coming into the project where we left off from the last tutorial, just a simple hello world, and I'm going to add my style here that has just a few different things. Don't worry about flex direction. We'll get into what that means in a future tutorial. But justify content, that comes into play when you have more content around this view. But right now, just know that's a kind of a basic tag that you would put in. And here we have a background that gives us the little green color there. You could add ones that you would kind of guess that could work, like height. Just give it some pixels, put in 50, and as soon as that, yeah, then maybe we don't like how that's tight up against there, so we can put in some padding, 30, and should bring that down. Great. So you can use a lot of what you would imagine you can use as far as like CSS type things. In the class one, which is actually one we'll use throughout most of this tutorial series, is that looks like this. So you have like a view, and instead of putting all your styling in the inline there, you just reference a class style sheet, and that's what this is here. You create this, and we could have put a comma here and like have many different classes that you create, style tags that you create, and then you reference it by saying styles dot, because styles is the name of this constant, dot screen, and you're in business because screen is this style, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I'll show you how to implement that in a second. So one thing you need to do if you're going to implement it is in your import, you have to now import style sheet. Okay, this won't work unless you do that. But here I'll actually copy and paste this just to show you an example. And so I'm going to go kind of below, and don't worry about this. I'm going to go kind of below my class here and put in my style sheet. And I'm getting an error because I do need to bring this in. And there we go. Usually it'll find it. So now we have imported our style sheet. We should be good, where we're not implementing it now. Let's give that a try next. Let's go ahead and I'll get rid of this. So the one thing you'll notice is when you're doing the inline, you have two brackets in a row, and then you have two closing brackets. When you're going to implement the class one, it's going to look like this. You say style equals, and we're just going to use one set of brackets, and we're going to say styles. It actually saw that was our constant, and we're going to say screen. Right? We didn't have much here, so all we did was put a little padding so it wasn't up against it. But then we could just add some of our stuff here. And the cool thing about doing it this way is that you can have more usability. In that, there you go, you got that green background. So, and you can use hex tags there as well. In that, like, so now if I have another view, I can just reference the style sheet instead of having to type all that inline code in again. All right, so that's a simple way to input that. Let me see. So yeah, just another example here. This is what it looked like without the styling. And then, you know, with some styling, you can center it, and you can make it appear further down on the page, change its color, bold the font, give it a weight, all that kind of stuff. I recommend that you experiment and look around on React Native's website for each component. Like right here, I'm on the image component. there's a style section where you can learn about what styles you can use with which component. Here's the text component, and you can see down, if you scroll down, you'll come to the style area, and it tells you what you can change, like font size and font style, font weight, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's your introduction. I'd say give it a try, play around with it, look at the React Native website, and that's how you'll learn best.